Hey, friend, Church D coming at you once again. Thank you for tuning in to What Does It Take to Win? We are in another brand new month. How does it feel? Well, it feels pretty good for me. 2021 has been going pretty great. There's been some ups and downs, obviously, but that's how it is every year. Actually, that's how it is every week, to tell you the honest truth. But we're going to get through this. I'm getting through it. You're getting through it. We're going to get through it together. Hey, so I just wanted to, let you guys know that I did release some brand new music, doing my promo, get used to it, right? I released some brand new music at the end of May of this year. It's a single entitled Don't Quit. I wanted to close out May, which was Mental Health Awareness Month, on a positive note. So I figured, why not put out some brand new music that has a positive message? So I want you to go ahead and check out that brand new single entitled Don't Quit. It's available on every platform. So wherever you get your music from, you can go ahead and download it. You could stream it, you could purchase it, whatever, share it with a friend. And just help me to collect my coins. Be sure to check out my entire catalog of music. It's also available on every platform, wherever you get your music from. Just type in Church D. So it's Church DEE, in case you didn't know. You can check out my first album entitled The Cactus, Bare Minimum 2.0. A single I put out after that a year later entitled The Vision. You can also check out an EP that I put out entitled The Big Reveal. A full-length album entitled Something's Missing. And of course, as I just mentioned a little bit earlier, Don't Quit, which came out this year. So I have quite a bit of music. Also, if you need beats, hit records, or if you just need some background instrumentals, if you need a jingle for, let's say, you're a podcaster, or if you're a vlogger, or anybody who just creates content and you need some background music, I do create instrumentals. So you can go ahead and check me out on soundclick.com/churchd, or you can just click on the link that's in this description. It'll take you to my link tree, and you can go ahead and click on the field that says get beats or lease beats, and you can just grab whatever beats you need. If you want beats that are only for you, then we can talk about exclusive pricing, so nobody else will have access to these beats. Or I can even create something from the ground up for you. So you can just send me an email, or if you, like I said, see a beat on my beat page, I have over 120 of them. Just say, hey, I really love this one. I don't want anybody else to have it. So how can we talk about exclusive pricing? And we can go from there. Awesome. So that's basically it for the promo section of this episode. I know, bear with me. I'm getting better, right? I'm trying to speed through it. But yeah, let's just dive right into this topic. This came to me fairly quickly. Like I say, I sometimes sit back and just let my thoughts flow. And, I look at different situations that I go through or that I might see other people going through. And I'm constantly trying to figure out how to offer some advice and some help on how to succeed and how to win, and how to just get through these situations so that they don't get the best of us. So this episode, I will be talking about our intentions and our decision making. So the title of this episode is Good Intentions, Better Decisions. Now, sometimes we can be inspired to go after a dream. We'll go after a dream that's a bit challenging, to the point where it might even seem like it's impossible to reach that dream or that goal. And sometimes when we share these dreams with our peers or even our elders especially, they might just encourage us to go full steam ahead and pursue these dreams. Now, that's great, but sometimes that's not always the wisest thing to do. I know, isn't that crazy? They're supposed to be your elders, but they're encouraging you to do something that's unwise. Is that even possible? Of course it's possible. So I just kind of wanted to share some points and some thoughts with you guys in regards to this. Now, this isn't like my traditional episodes where I say, okay, I have this point number 1, point number 2, point number 3. I'm sort of just talking to what I like to call the one who is in pursuit and the elders. So I'm talking to you and your elders who are giving you advice. So stay with me. I have, we'll say 5 points, but again, they're not necessarily called points. So the first one is to the one in pursuit. I would say to do your research. The second one is now to the elder, which would be don't encourage that person, which is the one in pursuit or you, unless you're willing and able to provide the proper resources. Number 3 is also to the elders. Don't discourage. Number 4 is to the one in pursuit. Humility is key. Listen to your elders. Number 5, talks to everyone. Go for it. Okay. So hopefully you could follow me. I'll try to stay on topic and not bore you too much and be all over the place. So let's start with the first quote unquote point. And this is to the one in pursuit. Do your research. I can't stress this enough. I did another episode on the importance of planning ahead and being prepared. It really takes you a long way if you plan ahead and you do your research. Observe, watch the people who are around you. Watch the ones who have, who have similar dreams to the one that you're in pursuit of, that have actually reached their dreams, that have reached their goals, and try to look and see what it was they did to get to where they were. And last but not least, I think this might be the most important. Save your money. Money answers everything. Truth be told. Now, I'm not telling you to be greedy and always go after money and be money hungry and hunt people down. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to get across is, you just want to save your money. Put aside something for a rainy day. Obviously, take care of your obligations and your bills and, your responsibilities. But pay yourself first. Make sure that if anything goes down, you're not scrambling or having to stress yourself waiting for your next paycheck in order to take care of something. Okay, so that's pretty much it for point number 1, or the advice to the one in pursuit. So point number 2, this is advice to the elders. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, hey, this guy, I don't think he's that old. How is he talking to the elders? Well, I just am, so get with it. Now, I don't know everything, obviously, and I'm open to correction, so yeah. But to the elders, this is something that I've experienced on my own, so this is why I could speak on it. Don't encourage unless you're willing and able to provide the proper resources, training, and you plan to be there through the ups and downs of the process. And the reason why I can say this is because I've been encouraged to do certain things by elders. They would say, okay, you know what? I think it's a good idea for you to do this. And I'd be like, all right, bet. And I would go full steam ahead and, not have any resources, not have the proper training, nothing, nobody to really lean on. And I'm trying to just make stuff happen. And ultimately, it did not happen for me. I spent a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of money. And I caused myself to be really drained pursuing this goal, pursuing this dream. And at the end of it, it didn't work out. And these same elders who told me, hey, go full steam ahead, go for it and do it, they were nowhere to be found. They had nothing to say. They had no advice to offer to me. And truth be told, I was feeling kind of hurt at that point. I was like, oh man, this hurts. Ouch. Who can offer me some help? Nobody. And I'm not saying that it's always going to be like that, because it isn't. But to the elders, if you do not have all the resources, if you're not willing to be there and help this person who is in pursuit to go after what they're going after, to even birth it, because, they could begin the process and then right when it's time for everything to be birthed, that's when it gets really difficult. If you're not going to be around to help them push through, I would recommend that you don't encourage them to go full steam ahead. Okay. We're moving on to number 3. And once again, this is to the elders. So this is almost going to sound like a contradiction, but it's not. It's just to show you guys both sides of the coin. So to the elders, point number 3, don't discourage. Okay. Sometimes we come into alignment with things that may not necessarily make sense in the beginning. But this, from my experience, it doesn't mean that we should always shun them. I did a previous episode of this podcast that said it'll make sense later. And this is true. Sometimes we're going to have to check these things out first and make sure that we're not discouraging the next generation from being great. Here's an example. I'll use myself. When I was young, like a baby, I was probably 2 or 3. This is before I started playing piano or any of that stuff. I think I started playing piano when I was like 4 or 5 or whatever. We were in church. My sister would tell me this story, actually. We were in church, and somehow I was able to break free from my parents' hold as a toddler and make my way up to the front of the stage where the organ was. And I guess there was like a minister from out of town who was speaking. And I jumped right on that organ while he was speaking and just started tapping away and just, playing those keys. Not like playing anything, but you know how little kids just get up on the organ and just start hitting random stuff. I was making noise. Well, little did we know, fast forward so many years, I would be doing music professionally. I'd be playing keyboards, piano, organ, drums, guitar, bass, you name it. I'd be playing all of these instruments professionally. I said that to say, what if my parents looked at me and said, oh no, we need to keep a hold on him all the time and just make sure that he never touches an instrument ever again? That would not have been good. They would have held me back from walking in my destiny. Okay, so so to the elders, I would say, apply that same principle. At that moment, it didn't make sense why I was able, number one, to break free from my parents' hold. Number two, to make my way from one end of the church to the next and ultimately get on organ and start making noise. It didn't make any sense at all, but it made sense later on in life, now that I'm able to do what I've done so far. And, obviously there's more for me to do in the future. So, yeah, that's just something to chew on. Just because it might sound a little crazy at the beginning, definitely watch, offer as much advice as you can, but don't go ahead and fully discourage it. Just sort of be there and be a guide. Be like that rock that the one in pursuit can lean on. Okay, and so now we're going to point number 4, and this is to the ones who are in pursuit. Biggest thing I could ever say, humility is key. Listen to your elders. Ultimately, it's your choice at the end of the day to do what you want, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with listening to wise counsel. Even if you don't necessarily agree with everything that's being said, or even everything that's being said at that moment in time, because it might make sense later, you can still use some of the advice that you're receiving, and you can modify your plan for pursuit. In fact, this advice may even make your plan easier, to be honest. I say this because the elders who you're receiving this advice from, they've been there and they've probably done this. I've talked about this in another episode, I'm sure, if you've been listening. I think when I said respect your elders, they've been here long before you. They have years on you. So chances are what they're saying is going to make absolute sense at some point, even if it doesn't make sense right then and there. But there's always a flip side to this. Just because they've been here years before you and they've experienced these things and, yes, they have insight on all of it. They lived during different times. Things are not as they used to be. They're not the same. I don't know the demographics and the ages of who's listening to this podcast, but once upon a time, you were able to purchase a massive home for little or no money. I think it was maybe in the 70s or even early 80s, you can purchase like a 3-bedroom home for like $30,000 or something like that. I'm just throwing out that number, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. But today, trying to buy a 3-bedroom home, it can start at $300,000 or $400,000, depending on the neighborhood. And so, yes, they might give you advice that worked for them back during their times. But now you have to make adjustments. You have to modify. They may say, okay, before you go ahead and try to pursue a life on your own and move out of your parents' home, you need to have, I'm just going to throw out a random number. You need to have $5,000 saved and tucked away for emergency funds. Okay. Now that sounds like it might be a lot of money to some people, but if we do the breakdown and we look at all of the expenses that we have to deal with in 2021 and beyond, $5,000 isn't really going to cover a lot. It could help you with certain things like maybe utilities, but When rent is costing $2,300 a month for a place that you're not even going to own, you might want to rethink the amount of money that you have tucked away for a safety net, and so on. So definitely remain humble. Humility is key. Absolutely receive the advice that your elders are giving you. But, you can always modify this advice. So they might say, okay, tuck away $5,000 for your emergency funds. Okay, listen to their advice. They're telling me to save money. Okay, I'm going to save money. I'm going to save triple that amount because we live in different times. So you did not neglect their advice. You took it to heart, modified it for your situation and for the times we're living in, and it's going to help you. You're going to benefit from it. And now I'm going to move on to the fifth and final point. Again, this is to the one who is in pursuit. And it simply says to go for it. So now that you've done all of the background work, it's time for you to go for it. Go ahead and take action. There's a reason why this dream was placed in you and why it's placed in your heart. And it's time to work on pursuing it. We don't just wake up wanting to do things because if we did, we wouldn't do them. Our emotions are often changing. You have to get your heart and your emotions into check. And don't let them check you. That's another episode that I might even have to do. But we have to recognize what our dreams are and what's been placed within us. And we have to just simply go for that. Whether you want to be somebody who works really hard for companies and just work your way up the ladder and climb up the ladder, or whether you want to open up your own company, be an entrepreneur, whether you're into the arts and you want to do that, whether you're into culinary arts, martial arts, you name it, whatever it is you're into, it's been placed in your heart for a reason, and you just have to go for it. Don't be scared. Don't let these people discourage you. Don't let your peers discourage you. Don't let the circumstances surrounding discourage you. Even when it gets difficult and it feels like things aren't moving as fast as they should be, you still just have to remain consistent and dedicated to the work that you're doing. So simply go for it. And that's really all I have to say for this fifth and final point. Just go for it. Work on it. Obviously, you have to do your research. You've done all your research. So, yeah, just go for it. Okay. All right. So I said a mouthful. This episode was quite long, but hey, I had 5 points. So what do you want me to do, right? Bear with me. I'm trying to help you. So hopefully this was well received. So here's a quick recap of the 5 points that we went over. To the one in pursuit, do your research, plan ahead. To the elders, don't encourage unless you're willing and able to provide the proper resources, training, and you plan to be there through the ups and downs. To the elders again, don't discourage. Sometimes we come into alignment with things that might not necessarily make sense, but in the end, it'll make sense. Back to the ones in pursuit. Humility is key. Please listen to your elders. And the final point, number 5, go for it. You did all that research. You did all the waiting. You did all the planning. Go for it and watch it work for you. God's got your back. Thanks for listening to this podcast. I hope it blessed you and I hope it encouraged you. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to share this. Share it with your friends. Share it with your family. Share it with people you don't even like. Share it with that person who keeps bothering you for advice. I got you covered. And lastly, if you'd like to connect with me, just click the link in the description for all of my content. I have some great things in store for you. Thanks for tuning in. God bless.